We are alive at a very interesting time in human history. I am a professional intuitive, and many clients, colleagues, friends, and family are reporting that very strange things seem to be happening. Specifically, these people are reporting that they have a sense of intense, energetic changes that they have never been able to feel previously in their lives. This is not a new phenomenon, as many other intuitive people are saying that the energy of this realm seems to be increasing at a rapid rate. Perhaps we are at the tipping point of technological and spiritual advances, which have been documented to have destroyed civilizations in the past. Documented historical information teams with stories of civilizations that have risen to great advances, only to vanish from this realm, as if they have either transcended or been erased. With the advancements of artificial intelligence and the rise of spirituality, I would suggest that we are once again on the precipice of the disappearing events of times long ago. One would wonder if the shifts in consciousness or energetic changes are due to the man-made electronic soup that we have been immersed in with cellular signals, wireless internet, and all the other ultra-low frequencies that we find ourselves subject to. This planet was once tuned to a very specific frequency that matched the human frequency, and if you chose to align with this connection, you would find yourself in perfect balance and harmony. These man-made frequencies and ultra-low frequencies have seemingly changed the balance and the energy of the Earth, and perhaps Mother Earth is fighting back in a way that is forcing a change in our consciousness. At the same time, we are evolving through changes in societal norms where it is acceptable to speak more spiritually and metaphysically. But what if none of those ideas are what is causing the changes in our human energy? Perhaps this is a cyclical pattern, and humanity has been trapped in starting over, evolving only to reach a pinnacle of the experiment to be started over again. That would make it seem more like a video game of sorts, where a character reaches a pinnacle of success only to be extinguished in the game to start the journey all over again. I am not claiming that we are in some type of electronic game, but you have to admit that it seems eerily similar to the video games that we create as humans. We learned through the evolution of the gaming industry to bring better and stronger scenarios and realism into a game. When I was a young man, the games were very archaic and not very realistic. However, through trial and error, we have developed gaming to a point where it is difficult to tell the difference between our perceived reality and what the game has encompassed us in. This also draws a very strange correlation to what we think of as reincarnation, where we live many successive lives to ascend high enough to rejoin the source from which we came. I perform hypnosis and past life regressions for clients, and it is difficult for me to believe that there are no previous experiences that we have that provide a base knowledge to draw from in each successive life. From my experience, I feel confident that we are going through many phases, lives, or experiences to become more evolved. I would truly hope that I am not a character in the video game of some pimply teenager that lives in this mother's basement. However, you would perceive this previous knowledge that we all seem to have. It is apparent that it is, for some reason, that each successive experience must culminate in a reset, following the trials of each of those experiences. So, are we doomed to stay on the hamster wheel of life after life, only to not remember the one previous to the current life? Another angle of explanation seems to be prominent with high-level channelers, someone who can stream information from the other side that is clearly from outside of themselves. I am a channeler as well, but I also seek out other channelers to see what type of information they are downloading, and it all seems to be pointing to the same point in our future. The one familiar stream of information says that we are approaching the most profound awakening in the history of all humanity. That is a very bold idea. However, it seems that a large number of channels are saying the same thing from all across this planet. I don't believe in coincidence necessarily, but of synchronicity. These ideas that align across all cultures seem to be an indication that we are truly reaching a point in human history that has never happened before. But what does that mean exactly? The way that I have been shown the Great Awakening may be a bit different than other channelers. However, it seems like it will all result in a similar outcome. I have been shown that the infinite timelines throughout existence are beginning to culminate towards one single timeline in our very near future. Other science-based ideas suggest the same type of scenario. Many former government officials have come forward as whistleblowers, and they have presented some interesting data that suggests that our future is leading to a singular point, and that nothing we try to do about this squeezing together of timelines will succeed in avoiding this event. If timelines each carry their own energetic signature, and they are truly beginning to converge together, that might explain why people are seemingly picking up other frequencies and experiencing things that seem wildly different than our current timeline. In my youth, digital radios didn't exist, and radio signals often overlap depending on location. In many ways, I believe that is what is happening with the recent proximity of other timelines as they begin to converge. If this is true, imagine the amount of knowledge that you will become exposed to as we eventually blend all possible timelines into one. This sounds like a cool experience, at least for those of us who have already been tampering with the knowledge that lies outside of us. What would happen, however, to someone who has no clue that this is happening and has no experience of the world outside of them? That kind of experience, if it happens, may create separation for some humans, and they may filter out of the equation because they simply cannot handle that large of a change. Those who prepare and are ready for this change will likely have an easier time adjusting to the intensity of this culmination of timelines. Now, doesn't this sound familiar? We have heard prophecies from all religions that humanity will reach a point where some will ascend and others will remain to go through a great tribulation. Perhaps all the religious scholars and prophets were correct, that the process of ascension will come at a steep price and not all can make the cut. There are probably 1,000,001 ways to describe what most of the population is beginning to feel and experience. However, I doubt there are many of us who are not feeling some great change coming. Does it make sense to jump into a streaming river and fight to swim upstream? The easiest way to align with a streaming river is to allow the current to bring you where you need to go. I would suggest that we all agree with this change, not fight it, and allow it to bring us where we need to go. I am not saying that we need to be passive and accept everything into our lives. There must be discernment to know whether the river of change is meant for us or not. This is where meditation and connection with that energy outside of us is necessary. Everyone has their way of connection to that energy outside of themselves, and no matter what that looks like for you, I challenge you to begin connecting and listening for yourself, and allow the river of change to enlighten you towards the culmination of this great awakening. Stay strong and live your life.